Welcome back to our Newsmax Prime special. Bobby Jindal is the son of immigrants from Punjab, India. And perhaps because of his status as a first-generation American, Governor Jindal takes a very dim view of illegal immigration. Immigration is legal. Illegal immigration is something altogether different. But do you think your unique American experience perhaps better qualifies you to be tough on enforcement?
Well, a couple of things, JD. First, we need to secure the border, period. We don't need a 1,000-page bill. We don't need a comprehensive bill. We don't need amnesty. The only thing a 1,000-page bill is good for is to put against the border and help build that wall. I don't need to tell you this. You're from Arizona. You know the impact that illegal immigration is having on our states and on our country. We need to secure the border, get rid of these sanctuary cities. But one of the things I'm so tired of this president doing is dividing us. One of the things I've said, and I believe this in my bones, is we've got to stop the hyphenated Americans. We're not African Americans or Greek Americans or poor Americans or rich Americans. We're all Americans. If people want to come to our country, they should come legally. They should learn English. They should adopt our values. And when they get here, they should roll up their sleeves and get to work. To me, that's common sense. Why would we want somebody to come here if they didn't want to be an American? We don't want to force them here. Why would we give somebody freedom to undermine our freedoms? JD, you look at what's happening in Europe. They got second, third generation immigrants that aren't parts of their country, aren't parts of their cultures. We can't have that happen in the United States. That's what worries me. People don't talk enough about assimilation, integration. This is the greatest country in the history of the world. Let's not give that away.
There's another problem, too, and that is the fact that people have come, they have not assimilated. So what happens? We always hear from the open borders crowd that you can't break up families. But isn't it time to discuss a compassionate way to reunite families in their country of origin?
Well, a couple of things. Look, until we secure the border, we're going to continue to have the left trying to give Band-Aids. We've heard this story before. Remember in the 80s? They said, give amnesty and we'll secure the borders. So what do? They gave amnesty, the borders weren't secure, millions more came in. We're going to be watching the same movie over and over if we don't do something different. In my state, they sent over 1,000 unaccompanied minors, these children that came here illegally. That's going to continue to come. And the reason they're coming in part is they hear that, oh, they might get amnesty. They hear the president's not enforcing the immigration laws. So you've got to start by sealing the border. We've also got to stop this whole nonsense of sanctuary cities. When did we think as a country, the president, the courts, the cities get to pick and choose which laws they want to enforce, which laws they want to ignore? Look, if you don't like a law, try to change it. But you don't get to just pick and choose which ones you want to follow, which ones you want to ignore. I know you know the border. I went to go see it for myself. And so once we saw these kids coming into our state, I said, I want to go see how this is happening. I went to the Rio Grande, went to Texas. They're not sneaking across, at least not what I saw. You know, I think most people, they think of the border, they think of a fence and border patrol agents, and it's pretty hard to get across. JD, I saw 3 groups come right across in broad daylight. One group walked right across a man-made dam, got to a fence, they get to this gate, they swing the gate wide open. It's not even locked. It doesn't even slow them down for a second. We called Border Patrol on each of the groups we saw. Many cases, they're coming right across in sugar cane. They're not, look, we're in clearly marked police boats, helicopters, cars. They're not scared of us. They're not afraid of being seen. Now, what Texas did tell us is when they surged those police, those resources into one part, folks stopped coming in that area. Now, they go to another area, but what that tells me is the left says you can't secure the border. That's nonsense. This is a country that sent a man to the moon. If we're serious about this, we can get it done. This president talks about the power of the pen, the power of the phone. Here's something he can actually do. He could actually fulfill the obligations of his office. The Constitution tells the federal government the one thing they have to do is protect us. One of the ways they can protect us, secure the border.
And secure the border, the fence.
Absolutely. Well, look, we got to build a fence, but in addition to the fence, that's not enough by itself. We got to have more Border Patrol agents. We have to have more technology. We've got the heat sensing technology in the helicopters. Once you do that, though, I think once folks know that they can't come across here, they can't simply come to our country illegally, I think you'll begin to see a dramatic reduction in the numbers of people who try. Part of the problem today is we're sending mixed messages. We got a president that's out there saying, don't worry, we're not going to enforce it. Now, thankfully, the courts have tried to slow him down, but this is a president who thinks that he doesn't have to follow the law. Here's a president who thinks, you know, we've had presidents I've disagreed with before, but he may be the first president that routinely just ignores the Congress, ignores the law, and does what he wants.
Bobby Jindal understands that border security is national security, and he also points out that our current commander-in-chief refuses to call another clear and present danger by its real name.
First of all, JD, you've got a president who goes to the Pentagon and says, we're not going to beat this enemy with guns. We're going to have to change their hearts and minds. This is a generational conflict, he tells us. Thank God that General Patton and General Eisenhower didn't say that about World War II. The French would be speaking German today if they had taken that attitude. We've got a president who won't even say the words radical Islamic terrorism. He needs to say this: Islam has a problem, and that problem is radical Islam. He needs to condemn not just generic acts of violence. He needs to say to Muslim leaders, you have to condemn the individual murderers by name. Make it clear there are not martyrs going to enjoy a reward in the afterlife. They're going straight to hell where they belong. And secondly, that if you want these freedoms, you also need to explicitly embrace and endorse giving the same freedoms to people of different religious beliefs than your own. Now, I know that's not politically correct, and when you say things like that, people are going to say, oh, well, you must be racist or anti-Muslim. Nonsense. We're confronting evil. This is evil we're facing. We're not going to win this by propaganda. We've got to hunt them down and kill them. We need a president who will take the political handcuffs off the military. Give them the resources, the support. Say, give me a plan for victory. We don't need to contain and degrade them. Let's kill them before they can come here and attack us. And then finally, something he could do today. Why in the world do we have gun-free zones in our military facilities? Why in the world wouldn't we allow our men and women in uniform, the most finely trained military force in the world, why wouldn't we allow them to protect themselves? I signed an executive order allowing our National Guardsmen to be armed at these recruitment centers, these other places. Why wouldn't he allow our military? They're still calling Fort Hood a workplace violence incident. How are we going to beat the enemy if we don't have the moral clarity and honesty? If our commander-in-chief won't even be honest with us about the enemy we face, radical Islamic terrorism. Now, he will wage war on trans fats. He will apologize for America. He will criticize medieval Christians and the Crusades. But he won't say radical Islamic terrorism. So I think that first, to beat this enemy, we need to define this enemy.
When we come back, Governor Jindal and I reminisce about our time serving together in Congress, and he shares his pitch to values voters. We'll be right back.